Welcome, Philly, to your favorite sports show, Broad, hosted by Jesse Town and Sam Wilson. They're smart, they're sexy, and they're all Philly. So thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome into week 1 of Babes on Broad Sixers pregame live. We're super excited to have, Woo!
10-9-8-76ers.
There we go, baby. We're super excited to have some fun and positive things to talk about finally with this new Sixers squad. For everybody that's new here, maybe, I'm Sam Wilson with my co-host Jesse Town, and we are the Babes on Broad, brought to you by Bleeding Green Nation and SB Nation. We want to thank everybody for tuning in for this pregame show right away. We're super excited, as I said, to get into this Sixers squad. But for everybody new to our pregame shows, welcome. We're going to start off tonight by breaking down some of the reasons why we're excited for this season. Then we'll give some season predictions, tonight's score predictions, and then a few other things that just wrap up with the Sixers season. So we'll get into that. Going forward, also, I should mention, we are going to be posting a poll of the week, I guess, on Sunday nights. We'll do it, and we'll look ahead. Obviously, we plan to do these Sixers pregame lives for big games. So like Celtics, just because it's a rivalry, Milwaukee, maybe the Heat. So big games of the week will be a given pregame live. But for the ones that are kind of when it's the Pacers and a few other smaller teams that aren't as big. Yeah.
Irrelevant.
The Hawks. Yeah, so when it's those teams, we're going to put out a poll on Twitter every Sunday night with the games of the week. And you guys are going to be able to choose which one we go live and do a pregame show for. And who better to decide that than you guys, because you guys are going to be the one interacting. We'll talk about any game. So just let us know which one you want to hang out with us for.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for those every Sunday night. And upcoming games for this week, because obviously we're doing tonight's game, because one, it's against the Wizards, which should be a good matchup because it's the first game of the season, so it's the first time we really get to see this team besides preseason.
Yep.
And 2, they have Bradley Beal, who beats us up, and they also have Russell Westbrook, who usually beats us up, but it'll be interesting to see him on a new team. So we have that tonight, obviously. The day after Christmas, which is Saturday, Sixers at the Knicks, and then Sunday, the 27th, the Sixers at Cleveland.
So this wins. This wins.
Yes.
This game wins.
Yes. Obviously, 1, it's the first game of the season. 2, it's the better game of the week. So it worked out in our favor this week.
Absolutely.
I already mentioned it a little bit, getting down into tonight with Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. What are some of the other things it's going to?
I think the most exciting thing is Joel Embiid and Russell Westbrook have been going at it for years. And I don't know what necessarily started it, but I know there was a monster dunk at one point that was everywhere, which was unbelievable. And even now when they do when people make Sixers hype videos, that dunk on Russell Westbrook is always included because it's so unbelievably monstrous. So that little tiff will be on display in the Eastern Conference 4 times a year now, which will be super fun. Like I said, we all remember the dunk. There was that overtime game a couple years ago, where the Sixers almost were able to hold on and beat them. But I think both Russell Westbrook and Paul George both dropped almost 40 in that game. So, but I think also Russ fouled out of that one too. So I think it'll be really exciting and a really fun matchup because it's not even as like an on the floor thing. Like they really don't like each other. Oh, this is what it was upset about Joel trash talking on social media to people. And then he said he didn't like that. And then Joel, pulled his inner Michael Jordan, and I guess he took that personally and decided to dunk all over Russell Westbrook's life. I'm looking for an Embiid shimmy tonight after a dunk over Russell Westbrook. But I think that's going to be that'll be a fun matchup to watch. And then another one is going to be obviously, Ben Simmons. Everything we talk about Ben Simmons is his defensive growth has been impeccable from year one in the league until now. So when we're talking about that, and this is a guy who we are expecting to be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. We are expecting him to make a very strong Defensive Player of the Year run, if nothing else. And his campaign kicks off immediately tonight against one of the top scorers in the NBA. Last season, obviously the season was cut short, but Bradley Beal averaged about 30.5 points per game last season. Over the last 3 years versus the Sixers. So the last 3 years are when the Sixers have actually, not been the process Sixers anymore. They've been, 50-win teams since, last year has the asterisk on it. Who knows how many games they would have won. But the 2 years prior, they won 50 games. Over the last 3 years versus the Sixers, Bradley Beal shot 50% from the floor against the Sixers. To give you a little comparison, he shot 41.9% from the floor against the rest of the NBA. And the Sixers, 50%. So he averages about 27 points per game against the Sixers. Again, higher than the rest of the NBA. He plays the Sixers really, really well. Now, every time he's played the Sixers in the last 3 years, he's been the only one really playing the Sixers. So there's not been another ball-dominant individual on the floor with him for a while. But then, it's the dumb stuff, like the role players that like to hurt the Sixers, like when Bertans came off the bench last year and decided he was going to shoot 53% from three. That was unreal. I've never seen anything like that in my life. But, Ben Simmons plus Joel Embiid and shooters are great. The defensive side of that is not as great. So I think what'll be interesting to see is what their defensive mentality is, because last year they were all about, everybody can play defense. Everybody's long, yada, yada, yada. Now they're a little bit back to, you and I were talking about this earlier. I mean, keep in mind when JJ Redick was a Sixer, phenomenal on the offensive end of the ball, but such a liability. I mean, they were playing 5-on-4 on the defensive end. And one of the things that the Celtics did in the playoffs that hurt the Sixers as much in 2018 was they constantly got the switch to get the favorable matchup against JJ Redick. So they were constantly switching. And I guess the next season when they got Jimmy Butler, they made more of an effort to kind of fight through some of those screens, and they weren't working off the switch as much. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of defensive scheme they've got going on with guys like Seth Curry is not a great defender. Shake Milton is not a great defender, but then you get guys coming off the bench like Tyrese Maxey who can give you some buckets and is a great defender. So it'll be really interesting to see some of these matchups. I know people aren't super high on Matisse Thybulle right now. But defense from him, I know you love you some Matisse Thybulle, and I don't blame you.
He's just got the sweetest little personality, man.
He does. I need him to develop more of an offensive game. And because we know what he can do on the defensive side, but I don't think he doesn't know where he fits into the offense. Like he doesn't really know what to do. We saw bits and pieces of some confidence when they got to the bubble, but it's not enough. So he needs to take a step forward this year.
One thing I wonder if it's going to help him tremendously. I feel like he Tobias is his mentor, and he's made that very clear. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if, because Tobias, just from looking at his history to when he came to Philly, he had more success with Doc Rivers as his head coach. So I wonder if that's going to play in, and we'll see a big growth in Matisse this year at all.
Yeah. I think that could be interesting. And I think he definitely needs to take that step forward. I think he needs to get more involved from the offensive end, because if he doesn't, it's going to be very easy for him to be phased out of that 10-man rotation that Doc Rivers is planning on using. So I think that he's going to be involved in it from the start. But I think if he doesn't contribute at a high level on both ends of the floor, guys like Tyrese Maxey are going to take those minutes, because Tyrese Maxey is like Kentucky version of what Matisse Thybulle is. Now, Matisse Thybulle, if he starts to like shoot 40% from three, that's a whole different conversation. But he wasn't taking enough of them last year. Anyway, like he just needs to be confident and let it happen, because I think he can do it. He has it in, and we've seen flashes of it here and there, but he needs to get more confident. And I think you have a good point there in talking about Doc Rivers a little bit. And I think Doc Rivers has instilled a lot of confidence in some other guys. I think one of the most underrated guys that has been a little more confident is Mike Scott. He was like on the trade block, never really knew what was going to happen. Obviously, he came in here and, was willing to fight people for the Sixers and, get tossed out of games, and that's all well and good. But, he was playing really well right after he was traded here. And then last season really never got into a rhythm or got into a groove with the team, with the offense, with the flow of the game. He was having some fun in their second preseason game. So I hope that continues as well, because I love Mike. I do like what he brings to the floor. It's just fun.
I agree. So it's something. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, and it's just something like even off the court. Sorry, I almost said field. Yeah, off the court.
We have to transition our minds from
I know,
football to basketball.
It's different. But so even off the court though, he fits that Philly mentality, but it's so much different than the other guys. Like Joel fits it in the fact that he's goofy and he could take a joke and he can throw it back at you.
Right.
Mike Scott's the one that's like, okay, like you don't want to mess with him. And it's like it fits that part of the Philly aspect, which you don't usually get from athletes because they're afraid to show that side of themselves.
Right. So, and Mike Scott really, really showed it at one point last year, and I'm still here for it. I support Mike Scott all the way, anytime and every time. So tonight, keys to the game. What are your keys to the game for the Sixers on the offensive side of the floor to beat the Wizards in the season opener tonight?
Yeah, so I mean, offensively, I just expect them to be vibing. I expect all of the energy, and it's weird kind of to say that just because they don't have fans there,
right?
And it is a newer roster, and they have a new coach, and there's so much newness. But I don't know why. I guess it's just like the preseason games, and then all the reports coming out in the offseason. Just there's so much excitement in it, and with how well they perform at the Wells Fargo Center, I'm expecting this offense to just click from the start. I might be in over my head and I might be disappointed, but it's okay because if I am disappointed today, I expect it soon. But today, I expect them to just come right out, be smooth and fun to watch and just electric.
I really, really hope so, because that was what, I mean, they fooled us last year when they did it in the season opener against the Celtics. 82-0, I was here for it last year. Obviously, I know that's a little bit dramatic and exciting, but I
don't even know if you could say they fooled us though, because they had it every home game almost.
They have gone. Wait, it has been over a year, more than 365 days since they lost a game at the Wells Fargo Center.
Just cross your fingers, knock on the wood.
Seriously,
you can't say that.
Someone tweeted it the other day.
Who says that?
I don't remember who it was, but I think I retweeted it. I don't remember. But I totally agree with you. I think as long as they keep moving and they play with pace, that's something that Doc Rivers has obviously said, many, many times. And he's absolutely right. They have to play with good pace. They can get out and run, and they need to be able to do that because they have so many athletes that can really hurt you, especially in transition, which is where they thrive most. And they need to take care of the ball. I mean, they played, while we saw great things from the Sixers in their first two preseason games, and obviously a small sample size, they were still extremely lazy and careless with the basketball. And that's something that concerns me, because the turnovers have been what absolutely killed them these last couple years. And you eliminate turnovers from a lot of their matchups, and the games could be very different. And the points that teams score off turnovers. Now, some of it is, they're not the only team in the NBA that has a great defense, right? Like teams can play great defense, but when they throw the ball away doing dumb things, that's when I start to get annoyed. And I have faith that Doc Rivers will put an end to that a lot quicker than a guy like Brett Brown would. Doc Rivers will handle that. So I just think they need to make good decisions, run the offense, and, do what they do. And I think they can be successful. It's just a matter of tightening it up and making sure that they are taking care of the basketball. What about on the defensive side for you? What do they need to do to be able to get the win tonight?
Well, so I think the defensive side, in a way, is kind of even the most exciting, at least to me, like, because there's so much that can happen on this defense. I mean, you already mentioned it. Ben Simmons should be in the talk for Defensive Player of the Year, as we expect, at least.
Right.
And then also, obviously, Joel Embiid. He's always in the conversation as well, and we only expect them both to get better in that. So I think the defensive side of the ball is the most exciting kind of to me right now. Mm-hmm. And I think with that being said, the defensive key today is really going to be interesting because I think it relies on who Ben covers. Because you already mentioned Bradley Beal within the last 3 seasons is shooting 50% from the field, and then he shot or averaged 30.5 points per game. Mm-hmm. Sorry, messing up there. But so he averaged 30.5 points per game. Sorry, there's a lot of P's last year. So I think he's obviously a key that kills the Sixers every year. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be huge if Ben could cover him. But then on the other side, you have to watch Westbrook, who also obviously not only kills the Sixers, but he's a good player. And it's going to be interesting to have the Wizards have both of them and the Sixers try to see that. So I think it's really going to come down to how the Sixers manage their coverage on those two.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how their defensive mentality is and what their defensive scheme ends up looking like when they have more of the shooters on the floor that aren't necessarily the defensive strong suit of the team. Point. So I think, another guy that we obviously need to talk about is Danny Green, who's a phenomenal addition to this team. And people, obviously we can talk about him being a 40% career 3-point shooter, but I think something that, people don't talk about enough is that he plays championship defense. And there's a reason that he was starting on the last 2 NBA championship teams. And that's because his defense has not, it has not faltered at all. And, we've talked about it when we went, when the Sixers went into the offseason last year and it was, Jimmy Butler or bust for a lot of people. And they signed Tobias Harris to the max, which I still don't have a problem with, which, some
same.
do.
I never.
Whatever. They have their problems, whatever. The Al Horford thing. It is what it is.
Though, it seemed in the beginning of that like it was a genius idea. It just didn't play out. And sometimes that happens.
The thought process was there. I understood the thought process. It just really, and like I stand by everything I said about it. It just didn't pan out as we had hoped.
No.
And I fully expect Al Horford to go average 25 and 10 in Oklahoma City. And we all just sit here and cry about it. I know.
The one thing that would have been interesting about it is if we could have gotten, well, I'm happy we're not getting this answer because that means he'd still be here. But it's interesting to see if he just didn't fit like the Philly like mindset and like passion of Philly, if he just didn't fit with the city and that's what threw him off, or if it was the coach.
Oh, who knows?
Yeah.
Not our problem anymore. But the 2 guys that I really, really wanted in that free agency were Seth Curry and Danny Green. Because the Sixers, they needed shooting and they needed defense. Hello, Danny Green is the epitome of shooting and defense. And I was so bummed when he went to the Lakers. And I mean, Seth Curry, I got over that one. But then all of a sudden they became Sixers and I'm over the moon. So on the defensive end, I really just think that Ben Simmons needs to frustrate Bradley Beal enough. He's going to get his, but they need to make it difficult for him and also need to make sure that, guys like Bertans aren't the ones beating you because that's, what they tend to do. It's people tend to have career evenings against the Sixers for absolutely no reason. Like TJ Warren in the bubble going for 53 points out of nowhere. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. What is your final score prediction for tonight, Sam?
So, I mean, I feel like we've already kind of hit on it. I think the Sixers are going to score because they're going to have that energy and they're going to be vibing, like I said, on their offense. Mm-hmm. But then also the Wizards are going to be able to put up points as well. So I predict it to be kind of that mid 100s teens. That's, I guess, how you would say it. So 117 to 114. I'll just say it like that. How about lay it out there?
Wait, 150?
I know, because I said mid. I meant like the mid teens there, and then I was like, no, because that sounds like 150.
Do you have the Sixers winning?
Yes, Sixers.
Okay.
Sorry, I felt like that was obvious.
I just wanted listen.
Oh,
I never know with you.
I did this
Oh,
for
jeez.
my positivity.
Oh my god.
I forgot to light it up. Yeah, go Sixers.
Oh my god, I hate you.
And for my festivity because
I know.
it's Christmas.
See, I saw one of those at Target the other day and I should have bought it. We would have been matching and it would have been super adorable and festive.
I know.
I also agree the Sixers do not lose at the Wells Fargo Center. They haven't lost there in over a year. I am predicting the Sixers win 122-115. We've got an interesting thought here that Tobias drops 35 tonight.
I actually like that. I love Tobias Harris, and I think obviously, clearly, he has not performed as well as we'd hoped with the Sixers. But I'm very optimistic with seeing the all-star Tobias Harris since Doc Rivers is here.
I hope so. I hope they just.
I'm optimistic.
I'm optimistic as well. I just think that they're going to run what should be run for the players they should be run for, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Ben had his first media day after they came back, for this season, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I was never allowed to run the pick and roll with Joel Embiid before." Excuse me? Why? What? Why?
Yeah.
Like, there's absolutely no reason why that should be a thing, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy to have Doc Rivers as the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Me too.
It's unbelievable.
It makes me so confident.
Yeah, I feel good. We went from I never wanted to watch the Sixers ever again. They put me in a pit of misery I didn't know I'd be able to get out from. And then 2 months later, they hired Doc Rivers, and I'm like, NBA championship, here we go.
And Daryl Morey. Yeah, and Daryl Morey.
Daryl Morey is a god.
But my only thing, I truly feel so optimistic and so good about this team. I really think they're going to have a great season and make a great run this year, and it's going to be amazing. But the only thing I'm nervous about is if I feel that because of what I'm lacking in the Eagles
trying category, to make up for it.
Like it's my body just making up and trying to overload it with Sixers for positivity.
Oh God.
So I hope it's not that, but I truly do think I'm very optimistic about this team. So I hope it plays out like how you.
So what is your overall record prediction for the Sixers then? Where do you think they're going to
higher than yours?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I always shoot higher on this though, because I feel like it's hard with NBA because you never know. I mean, they're not allowed to do load management anymore, but you never know when there's going to be somebody sitting out for some reason or an injury. And it's just there's so much that factors into it. There's so many games. It's hard to me. But 58-14, not 2-14, 58 and 14. I'm going to say.
Interesting. And so where do you think they have them? Where do you have them finishing in the East then?
Okay, so going down to it. I say, I'm even more optimistic than you here too. I'm gonna be very optimistic and say number 2.
I'm looking at your. Okay, so
yes. Okay, so
I have the Sixers at 55-17 and finishing at the 3 seed, which it's usually unheard of to hear someone more optimistic about a Philadelphia sports team than me, especially you. You've been picking the Eagles to lose week in and week out. What are we doing?
I'm evaluating talent.
Okay, well, give me. Did you time out on evaluating talent? Did you watch the Brooklyn Nets play last night?
No, I did not. But my theory. So I take off a vibe. Well, in the beginning of the season. Let me clear that up. In the beginning of the season, because we don't have too much. So I'm trying to predict what kind of each storyline for each team's going to happen. Okay. You know, that's for this at least.
Hey, go for it. I'm in.
I have the Bucks at number 1.
Okay.
Because they're the Bucks.
Okay.
They're the best team in the East right now.
Sure.
So I have the Bucks at number 1, the Sixers at number 2.
Okay.
I think that the Heat will be at number 3 because they're still a very good team, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I have the Nets at 4 because I'm predicting some kind of drama-y thing is going to just upset them. And I think they're going to go on a roll because obviously they have Kyrie and KD now. But I don't think it's going to be like a storybook ending. I think something's going to happen there.
Hot take.
They might butt heads. It is a hot take.
I love it. I am here for it.
Yeah. So I have them at 4. And then the rest of it's kind of just like what I felt because they're kind of all equal in an aspect. So I had then Celtics, Wizards, Pacers, Hawks.
Interesting. Ooh, shocker is the Bucks go 5. That's interesting. So I have I think they finish in the 3. My Eastern Conference is the Bucks, Nets, Sixers, then the Heat, because I think the Heat are still a good team, but I don't think they got any better in the offseason, and I think other teams did. Also, when that team gets back to South Beach, in the bubble, like Jimmy Butler can like be Jimmy Butler and be up at 3 a.m. and everyone else has to kind of like go with it because they can't do anything. Miami's a fun place to be, and that can't necessarily all be equal. And then I have the Pacers. Now that is also contingent on if they move Oladipo at the trade deadline or not.
Yeah, that's why I kind of.
That's where there. And then I have the Celtics because the Celtics, in fact, got worse. And then the Wizards. And then I have the Hawks sneaking in the 8th seed. I don't think the Magic are going to show up there again. But I do think that the Nets are good. Granted, they played I don't know who that is. They played a garbage Golden State Warriors team. So it'll be interesting to see a team that can actually play defense play against the Nets, and then we'll see where we go there. But let's do some quick bold predictions, and then we'll end with some quick prop bets. What do you think?
Okay.
All right. Okay. What is your bold prediction for the Sixers?
You should know it already. I'm just zooming with optimistic or what is that word?
Optimism.
Thank you. I am just not there today.
It's all right.
I had an eye doctor appointment. It is. It's just like, this is my vacation after this. But optimism. And I'm just going to say Sixers win it all, baby, because I'm not allowed to make it a bet.
No.
So I'm going to make it known here.
Sam's not allowed to bet on
Philadelphia ever
again.
No, I'm not. I'm a jinx. I'll admit it. I know it straight up every time.
My bold prediction is both Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid finish in the top 3 for Defensive Player of the Year. One of them is going to win it, but both of them are going to be in that top 3 for voting. And it's going to be close between the two of them.
That'd be huge. Because if that happens, we're going to be a good team.
Heck yeah. All right, let's do some prop bets really quick. So if anybody is new and hasn't joined us for a pregame show before, we always end our show with some prop bets. Just fun. You throw in your answer. We'll read them out loud on the show. We'll talk about them, and we'll see how it goes. So who ends up with more points tonight, Joel Embiid or Russell Westbrook? They're not very comparable players.
No.
But I just think the way that they go back and forth and
I don't know, because if I go by what you're feeling, that means Danny Green would be on Westbrook.
Mm-hmm. Which means he's not scoring at all.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Joel Embiid. I'm going to ride the optimistic optimism.
Joel Embiid. Ooh, Joel Embiid will have 32. Let's get this money. Embiid. We got another Embiid. We got an Embiid up here. I absolutely love it. Who ends up with a triple-double or closer to a triple-double, Russell Westbrook or Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons.
I think Ben Simmons has a triple-double.
I feel he's going to have a great game today.
I'm so excited.
I feel like all of them are just going to
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I can't even tell you. Who scores the first regular season point for the Sixers? We got a Ben Simmons up here, by the way, for the triple-double. We got another Joel has a big game. Ben will have a triple-double.
Regular season point.
I'm
Joel Embiid.
I'm going to go with Seth Curry.
I was going to guess you going with him.
I'm so excited to have the better Curry brother as a Sixer.
Do you think he's just going to come out right away and shoot a 3?
Yes. Well, that leads us into our next question. Over under. We got another Curry up here. Ben Simmons, 20, 10, and 15. I take it. Ooh, Tobias Harris. See, that's the 5th member of the starting lineup that I literally couldn't think of just now.
That's so funny.
Shake Milton coming out party. I'll be here for it. Curry for the point. So over under 5 threes made from Seth Curry tonight.
I'm going to push it.
Pushing it?
I'll push it.
Over.
Yeah, I'll say 5.
I'm going over. He's going to have like 9. I can't wait.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
What is the Sixers record? I forget who it was. Under. I don't like the pessimism. See, this is what we're not doing before the Sixers season opener. No.
Bring that to the Eagles live show.
We got an over here. Who has a higher 3-point percentage tonight? The Sixers or the Wizards?
Sixers.
Joseph, stop it. Sixers. I'm going Sixers. I'm going Sixers as well. I just think they're gonna frustrate the absolute hell out of the Wizards, and I think they're actually gonna not. The Wizards aren't gonna be the Sixers' kryptonite tonight.
Hopefully not.
Over under 10 points for Tyrese Maxey in his regular season rookie debut.
I'm gonna say over. I'll say 11.
Sixers by a million. That works. We got another Sixers over here for 3-point percentage. Push, okay. Yeah, I think he'll be around that 10 area. I think Push is.
Yeah, I said 11.
Yeah, I like it. Sixers, I like it. We can go with Sixers. We're gonna push that one as well. All right, over under 5 fouls for Russell Westbrook tonight.
Under.
He's
gonna be smart.
I think he's gonna hit 5. I'm gonna push it. I think he's gonna hit 5. Over Maxey has 13 to 15 tonight. I like it. I think there's a chance he fouls out. I think there's a chance Joel Embiid has so much to prove with this little chip on his shoulder that he's gonna come out just being a grown-ass man out there on the floor, and he's going to just frustrate the absolute heck out of Russell Westbrook, and he's going to end up fouling Joel Embiid 6 times. I think he fouls out, honestly.
We'll see. That'd be awesome to see. I don't know if I agree.
8 points for Maxey. Even then, I just want to see him go have fun. Ooh, a tech in the first half. I'm here for it. All right, Sixers.
I don't know. I feel like he's going to be on good behavior. He's on a good team, or a new team, I mean.
No. That hatred runs deep. Westbrook will foul out and get 2 charges out of anger. I love it. I absolutely love it because we got it fouled out up here. Star of the game on offense. Who is it? I'm going Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I'll go Joel.
100%. Joel Embiid is absolutely. And who do you think the star of the game is on defense?
I want to say Ben, but maybe Danny Green.
I think, yeah. I'm going to go with Ben just because Ben Simmons is my guy. And that's
okay. So you go with Ben and I'll go with Danny Green.
All right. And we'll chat about it as it's going on and we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Ooh, Ben Simmons. I love it. I mean, hey, you're going to be Defensive Player of the Year.
You got to start off strong.
Going outside the box, Shake 20-plus scoring tonight off the bench. I won't hate it. I will not hate it. Will not hate it at all. But thank you. We're coming to the end of our first episode. Thank you for tuning in for the first one of Sixers Pregame Live. As Sam said, every Sunday we'll put out a poll to talk about which game you guys want to listen to, which one you want to get super pumped up for with us. We'll figure it out as we go week by week, unless they have a big game. Celtics, Lakers coming to town. Who the heck knows? We'll figure it out. But don't forget to also join us Sunday for our Eagles Pregame Live, 2:45. Everywhere you found us for this one, you can find us the same spot.
It's Dallas week.
It's Dallas week, people. It doesn't matter if they're 4-9-1. It is Dallas week. And that just wins every single time. So like I said, keep an eye on our social medias to vote for which game we should preview next week. In the meantime, go Sixers. Trust the process.